came over here in the under-15s after playing at YMCA Little League. Played in the under-13s for a couple of years there, and West was a club that a lot of my school friends came across to as well. So the under-15s I started here. We had a really strong under-15 team, and I think we won the grand final by 29 goals. We were undefeated for the whole year. It was the same year that the seniors won the second division championship as well. So from there I played the under-16s, then progressed to the under-19s the following year, and had 1 year, I was 16, had 1 year in the under-19s, and the next year I was playing in the seniors. So it was a fairly quick transition for me. So at 17 I was playing in the seniors, and continued through till about 1980 playing here. Loved this place. It's one of the fondest memories I have playing football, and from there I went up to Newtown and Chilwell Football Club and played 2 years with them before retiring early through a number of unfortunate incidents. I lost my brother in a fire and got cancer, melanoma, had a section removed from my leg and my lymph nodes out of my left groin. So all that happened in 1983. So intended to come back and play again, but sort of the interest just waned a bit, and just started playing golf. And I don't regret not playing, but I think I was 25 when I actually retired from football. I played a few games in 1983, but spent 3 weeks in a row in hospital, concussion, possibly not necessarily targeted, but just copped one, unfortunately each week, and it was enough. The final straw was when I lost sight in my right eye. I was king hit playing St Peter's actually, and took a mark, and all I remember was talking to a little chap, back pocket player, Brendan Long. I'd saying, "Can you find my eye, Brendan? Just pick up my eye," because it just was instantaneously just black, no vision at all, and I just assumed my eye had fallen out. So that was pretty much the final straw. I gave footy away after that, and intended to still possibly come back and play the next year. I just needed a break. But when I was struck down with, or diagnosed with melanoma and had a section taken out of my leg, I'm fine now, but my perspective on life just changed a bit, and so that's where my career started and ended. So, but yeah, played, enjoyed all my footy here, especially under Billy Goggin. Just an amazing coach, ahead of his time by years. Just the game plans and the structures and things that coaches obviously do now very well, but back in those days it wasn't really heard of that much. But Billy always had a game plan, centre forward, just knock the ball over your head. I don't care if you don't mark it, just push it forward. We're a team that seemed to just play on at all costs, which suited my game, but that's how I probably tended to play my footy, was just take risks and just go for it, just play on, take an opponent on and try and get past or around him, or just create and keep the ball moving. So it helped our forward line. We had a tremendous back line as well. So the back six in 1975, they were fantastic. Just every one of them. I won't name any, but I should name Howard. He was a just a rock of Gibraltar at full back. Tough as nails. I mean, he wouldn't physically hurt anyone, but people couldn't hurt him. He played the whole game virtually with a broken jaw in the 75 grand final, and we had good players all over the field. There wasn't probably a weakness in the whole team. So but really fond memories playing here. I love the place, and I only went to Newtown because of just sort of a contractual issue. The club was going bad, but I was sort of a person of principle, and what was offered offered on one hand shouldn't be taken away with the other. So I just, on principle, I just thought I should leave. There was several of us left at that same time. So unfortunately, the club just, went through bad times, and it was sad. Just sad that it didn't stay in the VFA for much longer than it did. I think it finished up in the mid-80s or whatever. So it was very sad that all happened. But it's just a great club and a great bunch of guys. I've got lifelong friends from playing here. So what more do you want? It's just a terrific place to be. It was. Well, the 75 grand final was just an enormous atmosphere. People everywhere at the ground. We obviously caught the bus up from Geelong, and just walking in, the goosebumps start, and I was 17th man, obviously 16 men aside, 17th man, and I was 17 years old on that day. I wasn't 17 that day, but 17 years and several months. And Terry was the other 17-year-old. So we had quite a young team with a lot of experience. There was a lot of guys, late 20s. Warwick Yates and a few others were probably not towards the end of their career, but obviously a fair bit older than some of the young kids that were playing that day. So my experience, I came on during the third quarter to replace Johnny Hughes. Hughesy was a little rover that could get into people's faces, and he obviously got into one too many faces, and got whacked a couple of times, and I think he got whacked once, and he said, "Is that the best you got?" And the guy whacked him again and virtually knocked him unconscious almost, and Hughesy was running around for quite a while, and obviously in those days there's no interchange, so it's a bit of a risk to take players off too early, just in case if you cop another injury, you can play a man short or more. And so I came on during the third quarter and just eased my way into the game, tried to get the flow of the game, and felt quite comfortable by three-quarter time, and we kicked away, and we ended up winning reasonably comfortably in the last quarter. We were kicking into the wind in the last quarter. Danny Nong came back and kicked several goals in that last quarter, but I think we all felt that if we didn't do anything stupid, we should win the game reasonably comfortably. I think we ended up winning by 3 or 4 goals or something like that, margin about that amount. I was lucky enough to snag a goal in the last quarter, which was a bit of a thrill, and just I think I was a bit too young to really appreciate the enormity of winning a VFA grand final, and probably being 17, it was just an expectation that it would happen again. Obviously it never did, so it's a great memory to have, and I still remember things that happened that day, and I'll never forget the time I had here. Just great teammates. The club was just a fantastic place to be, and coached by a great man. So it was tremendous. We had I played under 4 or 5 coaches. Billy in 75, then Howard Smith took over the following year in 76. And I think we won the first 6 or 7 games that year. We had a strong team again, but for one reason or another, we just dropped off a little bit in the latter half of the year, and I think we ended up missing the finals. But and then the following year, Stuart Lord came across. That was 77 and 78, and we didn't really have a lot of success under Stewart. We still had a reasonable team, but just things weren't gelling. Game structures weren't really in place, and it was a bit of Rafferty's rules. Just you go out there and you weren't quite sure what we were supposed to do that day. So there was nothing put in place to follow. So you just sort of go out and run around like a bunch of 16 blokes just doing what they thought they had to do. But and then after 78, Billy came back and things just turned around in 79. We just started well, and we continued to play well all year. That year I made the VFA combined team, and but unfortunately smashed my elbow. So I've got a plastic elbow as a result of that game. Didn't play for the remainder of the year until the semi-final. I was put back in the team for the semi-final, but I probably wasn't 100% right. And then didn't play the grand final. I twisted my ankle, but I sort of hobbled around through training that week, but I wasn't right. My arm wasn't right, so it was the most frustrating day I've ever had, sitting up in a grandstand watching the boys get beat. We actually had the game won, I thought, with 4 minutes to go. How we lost, I'm not sure. They just got a couple of lucky breaks, and the rest is history. But there was one chap that played with them who was an absolute mongrel. His name was Price, and he got John Scarlett and tore his tear duct in half, put his finger in John's eye and tore his tear duct in half. And everyone stood around. There was a chap, I still believe, we had a chap playing here, Stephen Parsons, who didn't get a game that day, and I thought, maybe other people got different opinions, but I thought if Stephen Parsons had been playing for us that day, it may have made an enormous difference, because this Price character was a pretty scary man, and sort of no one actually went near him. A little bit of remonstration, but basically we needed someone to stand up to what they were doing, or what he was doing especially. So we lost that grand final, and then the next year Warwick took over. Warwick Yates coached us, and we had a reasonably successful year, and Warwick was a good coach. But we didn't have the success that we had under Billy in 75 and 79. Even though we lost in 79, we had a strong team and played consistently well all year. And then after 1980, unfortunately, there was contractual issues with the club, and I didn't really want to leave. I loved this place, but I ended up going up to Newtown in the local league and playing there for a couple of years. So, but the coaches I had, Billy stands out as easily the best that I've played under anywhere. He was a terrific coach. I was a rover for most of my career here, and obviously you strike up a bit of a relationship with the ruckman, and the main guys that I rove to were Dave Manson and Warwick Yates in the early days, and then Rex Deeth later, and probably they're the main three ruckmen. And obviously you've got to have some sort of connection, otherwise it just doesn't work or gel. So we'd have different structures, different positions that they'd be trying to knock the ball to. Obviously it doesn't always come off, but they're both very good tap ruckmen, and Rex was not as big as those guys, but Rex was a very smart player and made very good position. So he used his lack of height to actually become a very, very good ruckman as well. So, and the other chap that I played a little bit of time with, who was an excellent ruckman, was Brett Tawney. He was not very tall at all, but he was quite a solid sort of fellow, and he was one of those John Nichols type ruckmen that didn't really need to jump a lot. He was just able to position his body, and he could palm a ball any direction you requested. He was a good ruckman as well. But the main one was Dave Manson Warwick, especially the early days, and then Rex came across after his stint at Geelong, and so it was Rex and Warwick used to share the ruck work in the later years in the 70s. But my first experience was Dave Manson in the 75 team, and just a great lumbering sort of guy that would just get in everyone's way, and just a terrific workhorse. He used to work his bum off week in, week out, and his attitude was tremendous. You couldn't fault his attitude. Was just unbelievable. And again, he just get the instructions from Billy and just carry them out to the letter, or as best as he could anyway. And it was just, it was a bit of a pleasure to rove to guys like that were just so dedicated to the game. We really enjoyed that relationship. My time there was full of admiration for those sorts of guys, and as I say, we had strong players all over the ground, and especially in that 75 year, it was hard to find a weakness in any position. There was probably a number of players that could have played that missed out on a game that year. So, to play in that year was a bit fortunate for me, especially being so young. But obviously they thought I had something, so otherwise I wouldn't have got a game, I gather. So, really enjoyed that time here. So, at the end of the 77 season, I was invited down to Geelong, so I did the whole pre-season down there at Geelong and played a few practice games, and I just really wasn't enjoying my time there. It was sort of an uncomfortable feeling for me. It was just a very unwelcoming place at that time, but I thought I'll stick it out, and I never missed a training session, never missed a practice match, and Rod Olsen was the coach, a bit of a sergeant in arms almost. He was fairly, dominating in many aspects, but I don't think he ever spoke to me in the time that I was there for the whole pre-season. And I just used to get home from training at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. He'd just run players into the ground. I was 65 kilos, I think, wringing wet, so I didn't think I needed that. We do weight sessions, and it was counted out. There was no shirking a session. You did what was on that list. You'd team up with a teammate. I think I had Paul Jeffries on a number of occasions with those weight sessions, and I just wasn't enjoying it. I just felt like I was a bit of a left out on a limb. So just came home one night and said to my wife, I was married young, and I said, "That's it, I'm not going back." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I've had enough." I said, it's still my head in. I said, I just can't, I'm not staying there. I regret not staying now. I wish I had have stuck it out just to give it a bit of a crack and see where it took me. But you make those rash decisions when you're young, and sometimes you regret them. I haven't regretted making that decision till the last 5 or 6 years, and I've thought about it, and I thought, well, it was just a matter of getting through that initial year, and I think everything may have fallen into place, but sadly I just didn't give it that opportunity that I probably should have. Came back to West, and again, just enjoyed my time here. So I didn't think about the decision I'd made. Just wanting to come back here was just a great relief. And my father at the time, he had a huge dislike for Geelong, and I just needed someone to say, look, stick it out, you know, think about this. But he didn't like Geelong at all. He was a Hawthorn supporter, and for some reason he wasn't fond of Geelong, so he was happy to see me come back here. But I needed a father figure to come up to me and say, pull your head in, stick it out, and do what you think you need to do. So, but unfortunately that didn't happen, so ended up back here. So, but yeah, it's history now. So things happen in your life, and if you could change, I think everyone could wish they could change a few things in their life. That's probably one that I wish I could change, but so be it.
You've given your heart to get here and your soul to get it right. You can take 'em boots and all, but it's sure gonna take a fight. When you spend all week getting to your peak, you're gonna have your say. You bet. On Sunday, it's the BFA. It's Sunday, you're gonna make your play for the BFA. Today you're gonna fly. It's Sunday for the BFA. It's Sunday, yes Sunday. It's Sunday for the BFA. It's Sunday.